Hey everyone, Couch Investor here with another Square monthly analysis video. In this video, we're going to talk about the earnings, we're going to look at the stock charts, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you my own opinion on what I will be doing moving forward. Obviously, I will try and keep it as short as possible regarding the earnings report, so we're just going to look at the highlights and then a couple of key points I think are very interesting and a couple of questions for you guys. So make sure to answer those in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, maybe now is the time to hit that subscribe button. And if you like these videos, maybe leave it an early thumbs up, as it really helps me outgrow the channel and get my videos out there to you guys. So without further ado, let's dive into this. Right, so before I get into the earnings report, just to get the picture, Square's earnings report was insane. They reported earnings per share of 18 cents and revenue of $1.9 billion. The estimates were a loss of 5 cents per share and revenue of only $1 billion. That's why the stock opened yesterday on a huge high. Obviously, intraday was a bit different, but we're going to look at that a bit later. So now let's look at the earnings report. All right, let's go over the shareholders letter. I'm just going to go over the highlights because that already covers most of it. And then two key points I want you to see. So for the highlights, let's see here in the second quarter of 2020, we achieved gross profit of almost $600 million, up 28% year over year. Cash App delivered strong growth. Obviously, Cash App is their like cash cow, with gross profit of 167% year over year to $281 million. Our sellers ecosystem generated gross profit of $360 million, down 9% year over year. That's what happens during a pandemic. Most of them were closed for a couple of months. So it's let's say good to see that it's not that bad. 9% is still okay. Then customers increasingly used Cash App as a way to send and spend money. In June, Cash App had more than 30 million monthly transacting active customers, with more than 7 million spending on Cash Card. That's something new, like it was really low before. We're going to see a bit later. Then our seller ecosystem is uniquely positioned to help sellers adapt in the second quarter of 2020. GPV, we can see here that gross payment volume from online channels was up more than 50% year over year and made up more than 25% of our seller GPV. Now let's look at the financial metrics. We can see total revenue, $1.92 billion. That's an increase of 64% year over year. It's here like it's a huge increase, especially if you look at the first quarter of this year. Then gross profit, $587 million, up 28% year over year, like we've seen. Again, nice increase even from last quarter. Net income, little loss here of $11 million. Huge difference between the first quarter. Gross payment volume up 15% with $22.8 billion. Still less than what we had in the last 4 quarters or so, but that's to be expected when things aren't open and running for a couple of months. These numbers tend to be lower, but they're not that low. Again, good to see that they're not that low. That means that things are reopening and getting back to normal. Here, same thing. We can see that that number here above $500,000 is still at the 25% mark. And then here, adjusted EBITDA, $98 million, up 7% year over year. Huge difference from the first quarter, right? So this was the Cash App adoption. We can see here again, there was a 30 million monthly transacting active customers, up by, I would say, maybe 10 or 15 million from June 2019. And then a huge increase as well in Cash Card monthly actives. That's very, very good as well. Then again, they talk about Square Capital, which is becoming huge, and I'm going to talk about that at the end of the video, why I think, and maybe you might think as well, that Square is becoming a new type of bank. You can see here that Square facilitated loans for $873 million. That's in PPP. And we can see here a little message. Square, I want to thank you for streamlining the PPP process into a painless process. Other lenders have yet to answer my emails from weeks ago, and you have already deposited my funds. One of the huge moves that Square, I think PayPal as well, have been doing during this pandemic is help people with their paycheck protection program loans. And lastly, I want to talk about obviously the huge increase in Bitcoin revenue. They reported 600% increase in revenue for Bitcoin transactions. So we can see here that Cash App generated $875 million of Bitcoin revenue and $17 million of Bitcoin gross profit during the second quarter of 2020, up 600% and 711% year over year, respectively. Bitcoin revenue and gross profit benefited from an increase in Bitcoin actives and growth in customer demand. But like always, they keep saying that they deduct Bitcoin revenue because our role is to facilitate customers' access to Bitcoin. Jack Dorsey is a huge endorser and believer in Bitcoin and says that it should be the currency of the internet. When customers buy Bitcoin through Cash App, we only apply a small margin to the market cost of Bitcoin, which tends to be volatile and outside our control. Therefore, we believe deducting Bitcoin revenue better reflects the economic benefits as well as our performance from these assets. Which makes sense because as you can see here, like the difference between the revenue and the actual gross profit is pretty huge. Like the revenue was $875 million, but gross profit was only $17 million. So that's why they deduct that from their revenue. All right, and lastly, the seller's ecosystem, one of my favorite aspects actually from this company. You can see here that in the second quarter, we saw more than 50% year-over-year growth in GPV from online channels, including mobile and web experiences, where we have a range of solutions for sellers of all sizes, which is everything from the hardware, the software, everything from onboarding new personnel, hiring people, marketing, etc. Now let's move and look at the charts real quick and let's conclude this video. Right, so let's look at the charts real quick. We can see obviously $100 support is there and is still respected. Support at $116 was respected as well. We can see here a nice bounce, and then all the way up it broke resistance at $130, and then obviously yesterday the stock jumped $7 to $8 or so, but it went and closed the day at $146. So intraday trading, we opened on a high, but then the stock went, I think, 5% lower or so during the day. What I think could happen is that today would be like a mini red day or so, and we can see the stock go down a little bit, but then should be stabilizing around these prices right here, because as we just seen, earnings were very, very good. If you want to open a position, I would say put some buy orders right here at around 130 and probably also $140. I will be looking for those two prices to be adding to my already big and good position. So that's my opinion on that matter. Right, so as we've just seen, I think $130 is a pretty good entry point if you haven't opened a position yet. And actually, if you want to add more shares to your position, I think 130 should be considered as a buying opportunity. Now, I don't think we might go down there because, well, the earnings were pretty good, and moving forward, things could get even better. So 130 should be a good entry point and buying order for someone that wants to add or open a position. If not, maybe 140, you should try it, and let's see what happens today when the market opens. I would say the market should open maybe in the green, and if it's red, it's probably going to be a super tiny red day. Before I end this video, I really want to show you a little section in the earnings report and then a statement from someone on Twitter, and hear your thoughts down in the comments below. So as of the end of the second quarter of 2020, Cash App customers had more than $1.7 billion in cash balances stored in their accounts, up 86% compared to the end of the first quarter of 2020. Now here's the statement from Ryan Henderson on Twitter. He made a thread on Twitter on why he thinks Square is really becoming a bank. So as we can see here, now that Square's bank charter has been approved by the FDIC, Square will be able to start lending money and accumulating interest. Their intentions were made clear after they posted this job opening. And we can see here, experience in consumer lending, loan onboarding, servicing, something I can't read, and consumer finance and or mortgage lending. So what do you think about this? Do you think Square is slowly becoming a new type of bank? Is the whole goal of Cash App for Square to be able to become a bank and give out loans to these small to medium-sized businesses, and eventually maybe they'll grow into larger businesses? They'll gain maybe more revenue through their interest rates than through their whole ecosystem right now. I'm really curious about what you guys have to say about that, so leave it down in the comments below. And yeah, that will be it for this video. If you liked it, consider leaving a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, maybe now's the time to hit that subscribe button. And as always guys, take care, stay safe, and see you all in the next video. Bye bye.